Let's talk about it. Warning. If you haven't seen the last episode of Snowfall, the last few episodes of Snowfall, this video will have some spoilers in it. You have been warned. They say the ones closest to you will ultimately be the ones to stick that knife in your back, that rusty, jagged spoon in your back. Now, true enough, they all played the role in the decisions they made. But all the way up until the end, everybody wanted to blame Franklin Saint for everything. As if he was the one making them do things. It was always his fault. It was always Franklin's fault. When Franklin went back, because Kane had Louis being held hostage and about to let some jailhouse niggas run a train on her, Franklin went back and told Jerome, even though they had been beefing, they was to the point where they was like seconds off of putting a hole in each other, blowing each other's heads off. They was that close. And it was all because of Louis, the broad Jerome was with. The whisper in the ear, the serpent whispering in the ear of Jerome. And you saw a couple episodes ago, Jerome was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. When is it enough? When is it enough? But Louis just kept whispering in his ear over and over and over. Hey, we can get this amount of money. We can, just egging them on over and over and over. We can do this. So eventually Jerome went along with it. And he just started the things he would have to do to ultimately make Louis happy. It never stopped. It was never enough. And Jerome even asked her, like, when is it enough? When is enough enough? He started telling her, blatantly telling her, you know what? I don't want to do this shit anymore. tired of looking over my shoulders. Got the CIA breathing down my back. Me and my nephew at each other's throat. But see, it was never enough for Louis. There was never enough for Mama Saint either. She would claim she didn't want her son in her life, but she kind of knew he was in their life. She was always one foot in, 1 foot out. She knew her brother Jerome was doing his little slinging, selling his little weed. But she went along with it. All the way up until the end. All the way up until the end when they was at that payphone and Teddy was going to do the wire transfer for at least the $37 million. The half of the $73 million that he had stole from Franklin, doing Teddy's dirty work. Teddy lies to her about not killing Alton. Oh, did you see a body? Oh, I never killed him. I sent him down to Puerto Rico. Then Teddy he gave her this look like, you didn't recognize I was just talking shit? That I was lying? Of course I shot him. I shot him 2 times. And dumped his body. She did not want Franklin to have that money. Franklin was going to take that money and he was going to bounce out the game. See, he had got in the game in the beginning because he was tired of struggling. He was tired of seeing his mama struggle. His old man had came back in his life and cleaned himself up because he had, he had an alcohol problem. He had his issues, but he had straightened himself up. And as they seemed to mend their differences, you can see that they got back the little bond that they had before. Alton had went through his struggles. So when Teddy told her, of course I killed him. I shot him twice and dumped his body. At that point, she didn't care about anything else. She didn't care what Franklin was trying to do. She had her own ulterior motive at that point. And she claimed she did it because Franklin would never be safe as long as Teddy was alive. But that's bullshit. Teddy worked for the CIA, the shadow portion of the CIA. So if Teddy dies, there will be another Teddy. And the cycle would start all over again. So that whole argument never made any sense to me. Oh, I have to kill Teddy. I have to kill Teddy. And at that very moment, how I looked at it was the ultimate selfish act of the sisterhood. And this is what happens a lot of times in the black community. His wife started making all kinds of shady, like, I'm gonna jump off this life raft without telling you. I'm about to go behind your back and start making deals so I can bounce. You can tell that was her motive and what it was building up to because of how her mother was, how she moved, the shady things she would do. In that instance, you could tell the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Franklin goes to the bank to try to draw out a loan. Try to draw out, I forgot what it was. Some money that they both had access to, him and his wife. His wife on paper as his business partner. She draws out all the money. So Franklin's sitting there in front of the banker like, yeah, you're right. Our wires must have been crossed. Yeah. The only wires that were crossed was the double cross. The double cross was the only wires that was crossed, and at that instant, while he's sitting in that bank, he knew. In his conscience, you could see it in his face, he knew. This bitch betrayed me. In his heart of hearts, he knew she was gone. These was the closest people to him, the closest women to him. So now he's beside himself. How could this woman do this to me? She professed her love to me. She had my baby. She was pregnant. The only loyal person he had out of everybody was Lee. Oftentimes, to the brothers out there, the only person that you can trust is yourself. That person in the mirror, you will always know where you stand when you look at that man in the mirror. That is the person that will always have your back. You need to remember that. no matter how much you screw up, no matter how much you screw up and the decisions you make, you know for a fact, that man in the mirror, the decisions you making, you are doing it in the best interest of yourself. But when you take a look around at the women in your life that claim they're there for you and they have your best interests at heart, always leave yourself that 10%. I say 15%. Leave that 15% of trust to yourself, because you never know when these motherfuckers is gonna bounce and jump ship on you, turn stakes on you. As y'all can remember, throughout the show, whenever Franklin was offered a drink or some drugs, he would say, no, I don't do that stuff. As he would take a look around at the neighborhood and how people would be cracked out, and he saw the alcoholic his father had became. As a result, he was like, nah, it's not for me. I don't do that. I don't drink. But a year later, it wasn't even a year later, when he realized that his wife had betrayed him and she was gone, he was sitting at a bar with a blank stare on his face. The bartender knew this man is hurting. The bartender knew he had a lot on his mind. So he pours him a shot. Says, you know what? Don't even worry about it. It's on me. And if anybody has watched the show, you knew right away. You like, you know what? Franklin don't drink. He ain't gonna drink that. And then you was like, you know what? This is the beginning of his demise. Brought forth by the people that he trusted the most. The people that claimed they loved him the most. That would be ride or die. That betrayal swirling around in his head. At that point, he didn't know how to cope. So he slowly starts sipping the shot of alcohol. He slowly starts sipping. Fast forward. Because remember, Lee had went to see Mama Saint Franklin's mama. She tells him, go back to Africa, be with your wife, and this and that. This is after he tells her, I'm gonna keep the shelter open. I'm gonna fund the shelter and I'm gonna keep it open. So Lee's walking down the street. He gets close to Franklin's house. 3 little kids roll up. And those little kids, you could tell Lee saw himself, Franklin, and I forgot the name of homie. Used to wear the Kango. It was cool with them. I forgot homie's name. I'm having a brain fart right now. But you could tell that's how they rode up and how they asked them, where you from? On some set trip and shit, on some street shit. Like, who are you? Where you from? And Lee tell the little niggas, like, I grew up here. You look towards the house. Well, anybody there? Anybody living in there? Little dudes was like, yeah. If you can call that living. So Lee walks in the yard and you can see trash all over the lawn, fucking furniture outside, dressers outside, and all kinds of shit. The place damn near looks condemned. He walks up to the door and you see final notices on the door. Back taxes, there's a lien notice on the door. So Lee knocks on the door. He keeps knocking on the door. He knocks on the door for a good minute. Yo, Franklin, you in there? Yo, Franklin. He's knocking on the door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door. So finally, Franklin opens the door. Wearing a torn, dirty, stain-filled wife beater. Some tan, dirty, full of stains, khakis. And some old, dirty, black house shoes. You look at Franklin's face, he's all dirty, beard growing all out, teeth rotten, like they falling out his mouth. This is not the man that Lee remembers. Shit, this ain't the man none of us remember. Who is this nigga? Franklin had descended to rock bottom. He's living in squalor. Nobody to turn to. The last friend in the world. The only friend in the world that Franklin truly had was Lee. So Lee asked him, yo, what's up, man? How you been doing? Obviously, that's a rhetorical question. Because Lee is looking at a ghost. Somebody he doesn't recognize at all. So they get to talking, and Franklin is like, hey, you know, are they out there? Are they out there? Because he knows the city is coming to close on his house, to literally kick him out of the house and take it from him. So he's paranoid. He's looking out the window. Are they out there? Are they out there? So Franklin goes to the refrigerator, pulls out a bottle of alcohol and starts drinking it. This is what he's become. The very thing that he hated his father the most for, he had become that himself. A full-blown alcohol-dependent alcoholic. So he's drinking and talking to Lee like the wino he is. Now the bottle didn't have that much alcohol in it. It was almost gone. He had pretty much knocked it off earlier. So he took his last couple swigs and that bottle was done. So he tells Lee, like yo, let's go out the back door. So they go out the back door and they get to walking and talking, walking down the alley. Talking, catching up a little bit. And that was literally one of the saddest conversations in the series. But it gets worse. The psychology gets deeper. As they're walking down the street, they get to a corner. And in the background, you can tell what it is. You can tell it's a liquor store. You got people hanging out front. So Franklin actually like, yo, you got $20? And Lee looks at him with a blank stare, looks him dead in his face. Because Franklin was the one that was fronting everybody the money, helping everybody get money, mapping out plans on how to get money. And now Lee standing there looking at a ghost of a man, someone he once knew, someone he was very close to. He digs in his pocket and gives him the $20. Franklin keeps going across the street, walks in the liquor store, comes out with another bottle of whiskey, starts drinking on it. As they walking back down the street towards Franklin's house, they get close to the house and they see a couple cop cars out front. They both have, Franklin and Lee got the surprised look on their face. But Franklin knew what time it was. One of the cops go in the trunk of the squad car, pulls out a battering ram, walks up to the house. They flash back to Franklin and Lee. You can hear the cops in the background talking. Anybody in there? It's a seizure. Unpaid property taxes. Lee turns to Franklin like, man, don't worry about that. I could straighten this out. I could pay this off and straighten this out. Franklin says, well, before that, Lee was like, you know what, they can't do that. They can't do that. They can't just take your house from you like that. And Franklin says, why not? They took everything else. So then Lee was like, you know what, I can straighten it out. I'll pay it off. Franklin tells him no. And this is the kicker. This shit gets deep. Franklin turns to Lee and was like, nah, I'm finally free. I'm finally free of all this shit. In that moment, all the dirt that Franklin did, you knew he wasn't just doing it just to be doing it. Nah, he wasn't. It was a mounting pressure of the women in his life, feeling that he always had to shoulder the burden. It was all on him to make things right. And if he couldn't, the house of cards would fall and it would be his fault. This is the pressure that a lot of black men feel all the time. He says, I'm finally free of all this, of everything. All he had left at that moment was that bottle of whiskey in his hand. So he tells Lee, like, you know what? Says, I love you, man. You are my best friend. And you could tell he was speaking from his heart. He said the alcohol brings out the truth in a lot of situations. You could tell that man was speaking from his soul. He said, "You are my best friend, and I'm proud of you." Then Franklin starts walking away. At that moment, Emmanuel got tears streaming down their face. They both knew at that moment they would probably never see each other again. Now, I'm speaking on the humanity version of Snowfall. The humanity version that gets ignored in all of this. Of course, the Sistahood will jump on and he's like, well, it was all Franklin's fault to begin with. They'll jump on and be like, well, it was all Franklin's fault to begin with, and this and that, and he deserved what he get and all that. He never forced any of them to do anything. They went along with it. They even pushed farther in a lot of instances. Louie wanted more and more and more. Nothing was ever enough for her. His mother didn't turn down any of the money that she was given. She used it. His mama didn't want him to have that money. She claims she just wanted him to be safe and be out of the game. She couldn't wait a few more seconds to after the money was wired to Franklin's account before she decided to kill Teddy. Franklin just wanted the money so he could bounce. He was about to be out of the game, and this is what his mama claimed she wanted all along, for Franklin to be out of the game. And at that moment, when everything was going to be set right, she couldn't wait 10 more seconds to shoot shoot Teddy in front of the CIA officers. In front of the banks. In front of the other CIA agent that was there. The deal was already brokered. The deal was done. She did not want Franklin to have that money. His own mama. And as far as his wife, taking whatever little money assets she could and bouncing, that's to be expected. What, over 80% of these bras file for divorce and bounce? The first to ask for spousal support, child support, The first to ask for the house, the car, full custody of the kids so they can get the child support. The first to bail when things get tight, when things get bad, when there's a bump in the road. Yeah, these black women will leave your ass, brothers. So that is to be expected. He should have had a contingency plan for her specifically for that reason. He knew money was getting tight. And he should have known from the jump, this bitch is probably gonna bail on me. By the simple fact of how her mama operates, her own mama. He should have known when he met her and heard the things about her that he did. That was a red flag that Franklin should have took deep notice of. Yeah, these allergies fucking me up, but I'm trying to get through it. This fucking Claritin is crap and fucking nose spray is crap, so bear with me. But yo, and Louis punk ass, she was still, after Jerome was killed, was still trying to blame it all on Franklin. This is all Franklin's fault. This is all Franklin's fault. And Jerome, before he died, he told you to your face, when is it enough? When is any of this, none of this is ever enough for you. He told Louis many times, I'm getting tired of this shit. You know the reason I didn't leave you a long time ago? Because I knew if I did, your ass would be dead. But even to the very end, when Louis is talking to Mama Saint, she says all of this is Franklin's fault. Well, if I remember correctly, Louis, you was the one that orchestrated getting Kane shot. So, but you're not to blame for that. No, of course not. The only reason Jerome was there is because Franklin went back to get him because he needed backup. He needed help. He knew what he had to do. As much as I hate this bitch, you know I don't like this bitch at all. She's been your downfall for the longest time. That's your wife. Let's go back and save your wife. The whole reason Louis' husband was there to get shot in the first place is because Jerome knew he was the only chance she ever had in this game to survive. So he went back to save her. He was able to squash his beef with his nephew. Like, yo, we blood, we fam. Come on, let's go. Franklin coming back to save this ungrateful, disgruntled, trifling ass broad was the only reason she was still alive in the first damn place. But that didn't matter. Because flash forward to when she was talking to Mama Saint, this is all Franklin's fault. This is all Franklin's fault. Didn't you go behind Franklin's back to broker a deal with Teddy, the CIA agent? Franklin didn't make you do that. You did that shit on your own. But much the time with a lot of these quangs, nothing is ever their fault. It's always the black man's fault. The welcome mat of the sisterhood. The black man just exists to lie down and allow the sisterhood to wipe their feet on him. That is his purpose. And no matter how you want to look at it, Franklin Saint, he was a great one. He did whatever it take to take care of people. He took care of damn near everybody. Everybody got paid under him. But in the end, as the case with the black man in general, when things go wrong, it's always your fault. You are to blame. Nobody else. This is the inherent burden that all black men carry in society. His wife snatches up all the little money, every little dime they collectively had, and bounces. It was around, I think, $800K she bounced with. I mean, damn, you couldn't leave him with $200K to figure some stuff out and do some stuff? Nah. She took all of it and bounced. That's why I say to black men, you have no friends. When you look in the mirror, trust yourself and yourself only. I don't care if it's your wife, your longtime girlfriend, whatever the case may be. And when dealing with women in general, but especially with black women, Never give them the power and opportunity to completely destroy you. Because the first sign of trouble, that's exactly what they would do. Rest in peace to John Singleton. This was a great series. Great moments, powerful moments that you can learn a whole lot from and you can implement in your everyday life. Especially the red flags that are put up all over the series, especially right down to the last episode, the last waning moments. The Sistahood destroyed a saint, and they had no remorse in doing it.